don't have a ton of time, so I do want you to talk a little bit about Jerome Hauer, because I think that the connections of Emergency Materials Research Testing Center to him is even more damning to the one to SAIAC. And, of course, for those who haven't listened to this program before or for a long time, we've done quite a lot of work on Jerry Hauer, Kroll Associates, their ties to 9/11. And, of course, he was the head of the CFR for a little while as well. And he was working with Rudy Giuliani in a number of capacities on the day of 9/11. But can you elaborate on that? I know you interviewed him once. Can you kind of elaborate on how this all ties into this shockumentary?
Yeah, great, Jack, great. Yeah, I'm glad you asked about this because, I had the luck to get him on the phone on Labor Day about a year and a half ago, and I hope someday maybe you could play some of that MP3. It's anybody
did, yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay, great. Anybody can hear it. It's on. Just Google my name and Sander Hicks and Jerry Hauer, and it'll come right up there. It's all over the web. It's on sanderhicks.com, and it used to be on voxpopnet.net, but that site went down. So anyway, it's on sanderhicks.com. And I really kind of caught him off guard and talked to him for probably longer than he should have talked to me, and it lasted about 20 or 30 minutes. And I had a lot of questions because Jerry Hauer somehow knew a lot of the official story late in the day on 9/11. Before any kind of investigation had been done, right. Dan Rather was saying, gee, it looks like the buildings came down through some sort of controlled demolition. You see those controlled demolitions. And Jerry Hauer said, no, clearly to me it looks like it was jet fuel fires that brought those buildings down. And, how could you possibly know that? And I even asked Jerry Hauer, how did you know that? And he was like, oh, it just seemed obvious. And extremely suspect. And then, get this, Dan Rather on the same day to Jerry Hauer at that same moment, and late in the day on 9/11/01, says, an attack of this kind surely must have had some sort of state sponsorship. Could it have been some sort of Arabic country or possibly something more? And Jerry Hauer said, oh, no, I'm sure it was Osama bin Laden. Again, without any investigation,
as
somehow.
we know, Rumsfeld talking to his attaché on the ground at the Pentagon, later revealed in FOIA documents, said, go massive. Sweep it all up. Real or not. Blame this on Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden, literally while the building is still on fire.
Right, exactly. Give me all the targets you can.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I know that.
So that was the plan. And as we know, Bush had the attack of Afghanistan on his desk long before 9/11. Right. But, again, these are just small details, Sander. Go ahead.
Jack, something I came upon recently, I don't know if you've seen this. Have you ever heard about the Paul Bremer video footage? Same day, same time, late in the day on 9/11/01?
Remind me, Bremer, I know, also worked for Kroll or one of their associates for a while.
Yeah, that's true. And Bremer was an unknown at this point. This is before he became the special envoy to Iraq.
What did he say?
He shows up at the local WRC NBC affiliate late in the day on 9/11/01, just at the same time that Jerry Hauer is repeating axioms of the official story to Dan Rather on CBS. Paul Bremer is introduced, these local TV anchors are just shell-shocked and trying to make sense of it, and suddenly this really cool cat shows up in the studio, and they put him on the air, and they say, who are you? And he's like, oh, I'm a counterterrorism expert. And they said, well, who could possibly have done this? And he was like, oh, Osama bin Laden. We're really thinking it's Osama bin Laden. So, again, this is like neocons they had a script. They knew what the official story was. And this video of Paul Bremer has been taken off Google Video 3 times, and now it's hosted somewhere in like Denmark. You can find it if you Google.
Sure.
If you search for it.
I mean, him, Giuliani, and as you mentioned, Jerry Hauer. I mean, these guys are all in bed together, so none of this comes as much of a shock, I think, to any of us. And of course, it was Bremer who released all of the troops, Saddam's troops in Iraq, which allegedly caused all of the sectarian violence. I think that had a lot to do with something called P2OG as well, as you probably know well about. Sander Hicks with us on the program, sanderhicks.com. We could just talk about Jerry Hauer all day. I've done entire shows on it, and people can Google myself and Richard Andrew Grove to hear the complete breakdown on that as well, Sander.
Yeah, that's true. Grove is great.
How did you get to write this story? Now, the New York Post called you, and this is a Rupert Murdoch-owned venture as well as Nat Geo Channel.
Right.
Why did they want you to review this film?
Yeah, it was kind of a lucky break. Well, actually, it has to do with a debate I'm in tonight. If any of your listeners are on the East Coast and you're looking to come to New York City tonight for some exciting action, I'm going to be an intellectual pugilist boxing my opponent, Saul Devine or something. We're arguing about whether or not we need a new investigation of 9/11. Pretty simple to me, and hopefully I'll win. but it's all about audience vote, so I need to get some people there. And
where is it at?
It's at Lolita Bar, 266 Broome Street, downtown New York City. It's free. There's a cash bar for those who like to drink, and it's 8 p.m., so come on down.
Yeah, everybody get out there. Lolita Bar tonight at 9 o'clock?
8 o'clock Eastern,
cool.
Right. And because of that debate, the host knew, I think, the reporter from the Post, and the host is a real interesting punk rock, libertarian, conservative guy. He considers himself conservative, but he refused to work for the Bush White House. So good for him. His name is Todd Seavey. He's a writer. I've known him for years. And so he put me in touch with this New York Post reporter, and I was like, all right, here we go. Let's see where this goes. But I actually got to say, she really did a nice, fair job. I mean, she gave me a lot of time in her article to critique. I think she probably realized this documentary was a total piece of crap. You don't need to be a truther to realize that. So, I get to talk to her, and I took copious notes. I got an advanced screener DVD of the show, and then after her piece came out, and it was pretty positive for our side, I did my own review as well, and I kind of fleshed it out a little bit, and I wrote an article for GNN, and you can see that on the WeDemandTransparency.com website.
We've also got it at deadlinelive.info for those wanting to follow along here. And so the New York Post said, sure, write a review.
Well, it wasn't me writing the review, but I was the lead source on her review. Okay. So it's almost like I wrote it, but yeah, technically it's her byline, and I'm the guy that's talking
and you're,
the
of
most.
Course, thoroughly thrashing this so-called documentary. What was the response to it? Did you get any yet?
I haven't really gotten a lot of response. I don't think a lot of potential people that are going to come to the We Demand Transparency conference are reading the New York Post, so it didn't actually help us sell any tickets at all. But what really does help sell tickets is Facebook and our website. I gotta say, we just today released a new radio ad. Maybe you could click on WeDemandTransparency.com and maybe play it for your friends and family and listeners later today. But that's not a demand, but it'd be really nice. It's really cool. We used Aaron Copland's Fanfare for the Common Man as our little background music, so
check it out.
Pretty cool. Yeah, check it out later. So anyway, I've been working really hard on this conference, and we should probably talk a little bit more about the conference if you don't mind.
Well, I did want to get your opinion on one thing, and then we'll leave on a plug here because we've got about 3 or 4 minutes with you.
Great.
I got to get your response to this. Have you heard? I'm sure you're familiar with Yukisha Fujita.
I know him. We hung out in D.C. and New York when he was last in town.
Are you aware that his party just took control of Japan?
And a huge landslide. I've been following that pretty closely, yes.
I mean, and I guess Ron Paul is over there right now. He's a big fan of Ron Paul, and Ron Paul is over there visiting with them and giving them some advice. How is it that we're able to affect major change in Japan, but here in our own country we're losing our rights as fast as we're talking here?
Well, in the same way that Obama won in the wake of an economic meltdown, the Japanese economy has been in recession for like 15 years, and they've recently...
But Obama isn't a 9/11 truther. And
I know. And
a free market.
Well, it's funny. I asked Mr. Fujita about the rumors that he might even become Minister of Defense, because right now he's a senator in the Japanese Diet. And he said, no, those are just rumors. But who knows where the rumors came from.
It looks like they're going to start their own investigation into the deaths of their people on 9/11 due to this landslide victory.
Absolutely. I hung out actually for 6 days with one of their reporters from Kyoto News and helped him get interviews set up. And we even went out to Shanksville together. We had an incredible time. I'll come back on your show in a couple of days and tell you more about that since we're almost out of time. But I met Fujita. We hung out. He got me into a meeting at the National Endowment for Democracy. You're going to flip, Jack, when I tell you this story. At one point, the head of the NED, which has got ties to Iran-Contra and Oliver North and this right-wing group, the head of the NED, at the end of an hour-long, pretty boring meeting, asks Fujita, he was like, what is this I hear about you and 9/11 and your allegations? And then Fujita just tells him what he thinks, and I chime in a little bit because that's sort of why I was brought along to this meeting. And Carl Gershman, the head of NED, just flips out. He spins and turns over and jerks his neck around like he's Dick Cheney, and he looks at me and across the table and he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch who are you?
Plug your event one more time, and I got to let you go. We'll bring you back here as soon as
Great.
you can do it.
The event is in New York City, 9/12 and 9/13. It's the big anniversary conference, We Demand Transparency. Go to WeDemandTransparency.com.
All right, Sander Hicks, thanks for joining us today. Good luck tonight. I'll talk to you real soon, buddy. Thanks.
Thanks, Jack. Bye.
We'll come back right after this, folks, with the entire group in our studio. The Polygraph Radio guys. Stay with us.